Hey everybody, this is John Sauls with Vision-ICS. I just wanted to post this here. I recently was on LinkedIn and Frank Jakubik, and I apologize for Frank if I butchered his last name, but he posted this picture, and this is the kind of thing that gets me all excited when I'm going through grocery stores. I see things that are wrong. And it's kind of one of these things that's not like the others. And of course, what we're missing is the date lot code. And Frank was talking about the technology OCR, it's optical character reading or optical character recognition as a way to read these texts. Another one is called OCV, optical character verification, very similar technologies, but a lot of manufacturers will use those to verify that the text from the printer is correct. My reply to him was online was that this could be done with a blob tool, which any low-end vision system should have, and pretty much should be knocked out by anybody today. OCR is a little bit more difficult, but a blob tool, easy peasy. So Frank kind of threw down the gauntlet to me and challenged me to show him. So here I am showing him. So let me go into here. I have a vision system set up. If I put this in live mode, you can see my hand down here. This is actually a very high-end vision system that I just happen to have set up on my desk, but I'll use very low-end tools to kind of show it off. So the first thing I would want to do is to fixture this product as it's coming down the line. I want to be able to float my tools. So normally I would use something like a Pat Max, a geometric pattern matching, or search tool, that type of thing to do it. But again, in this case, I'm going to do it with low-end tools. So the first thing you want to make sure your vision system has is a way to fixture. And I'm using edge tools to do it. I have two edges that are finding the top edge. And then relative to those, I place another edge tool looking from side to side. I find the intersection of those two lines, and that comes out to be this green crosshair up here. And so that's what I'm using for my fixture. And that's down here. That's where I'm showing the fixture. So if I come down here and I run my tools, I can very quickly, I'm going to add a tool here for edit region. And I'm going to use this tool as my fixture for everything else, my region that I'm going to be looking for that text. So if I come up in here and say, okay, I'm not going to allow it to bend, and I'm going to call this my text region. And what I'm looking for is just the presence of the text, that the printer worked, that it put out some information. If I could spell right, that would help. So now we have this region. I'm going to put it up where I'm going to be looking for text. I could look at this whole thing with the best used by and everything else, but I'm going to look for this in this blank region off to the right. So the text has to be in that region for it to run. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here and create a tool. We're going to call it, click on that, detect blobs. And we're going to fixture that off. We're going to relate it to our region that we just created. So now it's up in our right ballpark. We are looking for black blobs on a white background. I'm going to tell it I'm going to look for 30 of them. I'm just going to pick that number. We could use any number we want, but 30 seems like a good number. And you can kind of see it's come in here and it's found some blobs. And if I tell it that I'm looking for the 30 blobs, I come down here and I'm going to put this back on here and we're just going to get the number found. I do a number found, get and found. And we found 30 blobs. So if I go through and I've stored some images here just so we can roll through them really fast. If I run through them, I'll do one other thing so we can see what's going on. We're going to say show the results, input results, so you can see it. And you can see now we've got the backside. We only have one blob that it's sort of found this kind of weird region down through here. We could also limit it by size so that it would eliminate that. If we said, let's say 10,000, now we found 0 blobs. So just like that, you can see with a few minutes of work, we've come in, we've got a tool that's running, it's going ahead and doing its thing. And it's finding, that we found some small things, some big things. If we set our threshold, let's say 15, we're clearly going to be separating those out. And that's just with a few minutes of effort. This is one that's a little closer to what he was showing before. If I come in here and change that text region to be something a little bit more appropriate for this one, draw that back up again. And this, the graphics artists clearly hate Vision, guys, because this is very difficult to see. But you can see we found about 20 blobs. We're finding kind of weird things. Now, one of the things that happens here, because we're using a dot matrix printer, this becomes very hard for the vision system to see. It's going to see the little gaps between the blobs, and it becomes harder to do. So, just in the interest of showing everything here, I'm going to put some filters in here. So we're going to put in a filter. And this is, again, most of the vision systems will have simple filters as part of their setup. We'll relate that region back to our prior text box region. And we're going to use a couple different filters. So the first one I'm going to use is something called the bot hat. And bot hat's a little confusing because it defaults to this really low number. You want to set that up to a larger number. And what it's going to do, I get that as my number, you can see we're starting to see just the black and the white. It evens out the image a whole lot, gives us something really easy to work with. So then the next part I'm going to do, put that back, we're going to run another filter on that image. And some systems will allow you to stack filters up like this up in a single tool. This one requires a separate filter for each one, but we'll put that in here. We'll make our filter reference off of our prior filtered image. What I'm going to do with this is we're going to dilate the image. I'm sorry, railroad. Yeah, wrong way. Dilate. So with the dilate, we're going to merge the characters together. We're going to make that more of a single item. What it's doing is it's making all the white dots just that little bit bigger. I'm going to go ahead and make them 5 by 5. And you can see that kind of cleaned it up. It gave us a nice solid area. So now, if we come back to our blob tool, and we reference our image off of those filtered images, click OK. Except we switched our color now, so we're now white on black. You can see we're starting to get more of that information, we're getting more of that text. So we can kind of sort it out and say, yeah, I'm looking for 30 things that are about this big. If I go back to my original images here, and we'll move that region so that it's appropriately sized, with a nice clear background that Vision guys love. You can see we're getting most of those characters. We could actually bring that number up to, let's say, 50. And it's just going to take more processing time, but you can see we're getting almost all of those characters, almost all of that information. It's chopping off a little of that Y, a little bit of that extra information, but for the most part, we have a nice outline of our product. And then we could come down here and we'll just put a real quick if, we'll just say, hold on, get rid of that. If that's greater than 25, which means we have nice character separation, we have nice individual blobs, we're not mashing the text together, we're not missing ink. If we have that greater than 25, then it's 1, otherwise it's 0. We could write that information out to something else. We could say if this, and that is pass, and otherwise it's fail. Double quote. And then we could come in here and say plot string. And if we want to get creative, we can make the strings change color and everything else, but I'm not going to get that creative right now. And we're going to change that color to just make it magenta. And we're saying a string is that, and we'll make it a 36-point font. Change our font style, anything we want there. And now we have a nice big pass if it passes. And if we run along, you can see it's shifting the boxes, it's refixturing. Oh, that's saying that it passed. Why is it saying that it passed? Ah, because I left my threshold as -1, which means it dynamically sorts it. So if I set that, we'll just say 30, then it's going to fail for that product. So now we've got that all worked out again. I'll go back to the beginning. We've got our product there. There it fails. There it passes. So very, very quickly, a matter of what we got 12 minutes. We've set up a blob tool to be able to inspect this. We're going to be able to sort this out and tell the system if the printer has stopped working. And this is really a big deal for particularly manufacturers working with big companies like Walmart that demand that this print be there, and they'll reject it and backfine the customer and everything else. So you can see we're a really low end system. All we need is a blob tool, edge tools, and some filters, and we're good to go. So that's really it for now. Frank, if you have any questions, let me know. We'll talk to you later.